Hey guys, I hope you're having a good day, and if you're not having a good day, well, stop doing that. Thank you. So I don't know about you guys, but in my house growing up, Disney Channel was on like 24/7. My brother and I watched like every single show that was on air between like 2007 to 2014. So I've seen my fair share of Disney sitcoms, animated shows, and of course, the infamous DCOM. I had an obsession with Teen Beach Movie. I mean, I still do. I love that movie. I wanted to be Maya Mitchell so bad. And I think a big reason why it resonated with me so much is just because there was so much advertising for that movie, like going on all the time on Disney Channel, just all those ads just blasting through my tiny little child brain. I remember to a T what like the promotional clips were, like the cadence of like how they talk, the music they played. They had a little clip where they showed you how to do the dance for one of the best songs in the movie, and I was convinced that I was really good at it, so I'm really glad I didn't have a phone at the time, because I probably would have recorded myself, posted on YouTube, embarrassing myself to whoever stumbled upon it, yet still be like, why isn't this viral? Unfortunately, like everyone does, I aged out of watching Disney Channel when I was like 11, and then opted to watch stuff how I typically watch it now, like on streaming services. My classmates in 6th grade had me convinced I had to watch Pretty Little Liars, or I would miss out on the riveting discussion of whether or not a high school student should be dating her teacher. Why was that a plot point? And why was I watching that show? Anyway, because I stopped watching Disney Channel around like 2014, I missed out on the craze of the new like hit DCOM trilogy that was Descendants. If you're not familiar with Descendants, it's a 3-movie franchise that follows the story of several different descendants, get it, of Disney heroes and villains, particularly following the story of Maleficent's daughter, Mal, who's played by Duff Cameron. I really hadn't thought or heard much about the Descendants movies until about a week ago. My boyfriend asked me if we could watch the first movie for some reason, and oh my god, this movie is a gem. Before we get into it, I'd like to make it clear that I know I'm not the target demographic for this movie, and some people might think it's silly for an adult to sit here and nitpick a movie made for children, but I actually had a good time watching this movie, and I wanted to share it with you guys in case this is also your first time being exposed to the franchise, so let's get into it together. So the movie opens with Mal giving us a little narration about the lore of this movie universe, and it's on an iPad because it's cool, young, and hip, just like you. The names of some of the landmarks and cities are so funny to me, like Bald Mountain. What the hell? That's so mean. So the USA, not that USA. This USA is ruled over by Beauty and the Beast, whose son Ben is gonna be taking over soon. Now herein lies one of my main concerns of the movie. Why the hell are they handing over this country to a 16-year-old boy? See, when I was 16, I looked like this. Would you swear me in? Be honest. Not to mention that this guy is obviously way older than 16, yet seems to be stuck in 2007 based off of his haircut. Ben tells his parents that his first act as king is going to be to let some of the children who live on the Isle of the Lost, which is an island right off the coast where all the villains and their kids live, he's going to let some of them come to Oregon and like assimilate into their society and attend their high school. While he's telling them this, the tailor who's working on his already tailored suit, might I add, looks so funny to me. Like he looks like a kid who's on timeout. What did they do to him? Despite his parents' reservations about the idea, which is crazy coming from a man who used to be a literal beast,
the children of our sworn enemies living among us.
They agreed to allow 4 kids from the Isle of the Lost to come to Oregon Prep, the high school that they have on the mainland.
What do you think?
It's so preppy in here.
The 4 kids are Jafar's son Jay, Cruella de Vil's son Carlos, the Evil Queen's daughter Evie, and of course Maleficent's daughter Mal. Before they're sent to the mainland, Maleficent tasks the group with stealing the fairy godmother's magic wand so she can like take over the world, because she can't use magic within the island because there's like a magical barrier around it. Okay, bear with me. This is one of the main problems I had with the movie. I can let go of the fact that it doesn't make any sense that all these different characters from drastically different locations and time periods are all living at the same time and all happen to have children at like the exact same time because all of the kids are like 16 years old. I can let that go for the sake of the movie. I can suspend my disbelief for that, okay? What I can't let go of, however, is that some of these characters, like, they should be dead, right? Like, I was under the impression that Maleficent dies at the end of Sleeping Beauty, right? Like, if you look it up on the Wikipedia page, it says that she's killed. And Jafar gets stuck in the lamp because he becomes a genie. So, like, how did he get out of there? And then now he has a son, like, at the same time as everyone else. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. And this, like, was a plot hole that we're just gonna have to learn to live with and just kind of ignore for the rest of the movie for the sake of the story. So the squad arrives at Ardon Prep, and immediately there's some romantic tension between Ben and Mal, which makes Ben's girlfriend Audrey, daughter of Sleeping Beauty, really jealous because, yeah, no, obviously. So the four of them start to settle into their dorms, and this is where we can kind of start to see more of their personalities, which are meant to reflect their parents, right? So Evie's like really interested in makeup and fashion and stuff like that because she's obsessed with her own vanity because her mom, the evil queen, was, you know, obsessed with being the fairest in the land and almost killed a 14-year-old because someone dared suggest that she was prettier than her. Carlos is super high energy, like a dog, I guess, but he's also really scared of dogs. Mal is just like mean and manipulative like her mom is. And then Jay likes to steal stuff, I guess. I don't know where that comes from because like Jafar, he's a messed up guy, don't get me wrong, but he was more about like manipulating people to get his way and like taking advantage of people, not like stealing stuff. That was really weird to me. I love this scene where Carlos is playing a video game and the footage on the TV does not correspond at all to his movements. And then they use the exact same footage when Jay starts playing it later. It's golden. After using Evie's magic mirror that her mom gave her,
mirror, mirror, in my hand,
they find that the fairy godmother's wand is at a museum nearby, so they go to break in and steal it, but uh-oh, there's a security guard, so we see Mal use her little spell book to trick him into pricking his little finger on the spindle like in Sleeping Beauty, and, you know, we think he's gonna be in a coma after. Like, I was fully prepared to see this guy be out for the rest of the film until his true love came and gave him a kiss. But then when they're trying to steal the wand and an alarm goes off, he just wakes up because it's loud. Like, did they not try that with Aurora? They should have just blasted some music in her ear, then they could have avoided the whole problem. While they're in the museum, Mal has a hallucination that, like, her mom is there and basically being like, hey, you're evil, you were born this way, so basically don't try to fight it. And she does this in a musical number, which I love so much, it's been stuck in my head since the first time I watched the movie. So after the failed heist, they kind of just decide to go back to the high school and kind of wait it out until they can figure out a plan to steal it later. Carlos and Jay are recruited to go play this game called Tourney, which actually looks like it'd be so much fun to watch. Way more interesting than Quidditch because that shit looks boring as fuck. But while they're playing, I couldn't help but notice the cheerleaders there. And like at first I was like, oh yeah, you know, cheerleaders, you know, that's what they do, they cheer them on. But why are they there at the practice? I was never a cheerleader, but I know that the cheerleaders at my high school would get there at like the crack of dawn to practice, you know, their routine, their tumbling. I don't think the part that they needed to practice was going, woo! Why are they there at the practice? It doesn't make sense. So Jay like kills it at Tourney, he's super good at it, and he does a happy little dance to celebrate. And then immediately gets added to the team. But then also Carlos also gets added to the team, even though he sucks. So I guess it really didn't matter if he did well or not. However, Carlos being on the team does lead to him overcoming his fear of dogs. So he carries around this little dog named Dude for the rest of the movie, and I love it so much. Meanwhile, Mal is trying to befriend the fairy godmother's daughter, Jane, who's just like really nervous and insecure. So she obviously takes advantage of that and like changes her hair. And she's like, well, hey, if you get your mom's wand, we can change the rest of your features so you won't be so ugly. So word gets out that Mal can change people's hair, which leads to the funniest scene I've ever seen in my entire life, where Mulan's daughter Lonnie becomes cool.
I love it. You too. It's just... Now I'm cool.
After learning that the fairy godmother uses her wand during Ben's coronation, she conspires to become his girlfriend so that she can sit at the front and she can just like run up and nab it and ta-da! She cooks up like a love potion cookie that immediately takes effect and makes Ben profess his love for her at the tourney game later that day, where they're definitely playing with a real ball that is not masked on in post. It's in this scene at the tourney game where I finally noticed that all the jerseys just have their first names on them, which is so funny to me. And like, I understand that they wouldn't want to go through and give all of these characters like canonical last names, you know? Like so many of them don't. Like, what is Jafar's last name? So like, I get that. But oh my god, imagine if they did that in real life. That'd be so funny. So after Ben sings his little song about how much he loves Mal, Audrey breaks up with him, obviously. Which of course we're not supposed to like Audrey, you know, because she's really shallow and like she hates our protagonist. But imagine if your boyfriend just sang in public about how much he loves another woman. I would cry. That's so mean. Ben asks Mal out on a date, which leads us to our obligatory makeover scene where we put makeup on a woman who's already wearing a full face of makeup. They have a really cute picnic by the lake where Ben brought just like way too much food for two people. Then he growls really loudly and jumps in the lake. Mal sings a song about like how she's actually starting to have feelings for Ben and that like maybe she doesn't actually want to be evil, which is like the main conflict of the movie. But I'm so distracted by the flashbacks they chose because it's stuff that literally happened 4 minutes ago. Like, yeah, dude, I remember, I was there. Mal thinks that Ben is drowning because he just disappeared into the lake, but he was actually picking up a cute little rock for her, which he throws back into the lake, and it makes the exact Minecraft water sound effect, which I haven't stopped thinking about for days. After a FaceTime call, the four of them are reminded of their mission and they finalize the plan to steal the wand at the coronation. But they're all kind of like sadly realizing that they actually really like life here and maybe they don't want to be evil after all. The next day at an event where all the families of the heroes are present, Mal runs into Sleeping Beauty's mom, who immediately starts freaking out and throwing insults at her.
Don't you remember my proclamation to give the new generation a chance?
A chance to what, Ben? Destroy us?
As people are starting to get really riled up and like yelling at each other, Evie comes up and sprays this guy named Chad, of course his name is Chad, just look at him, with this magic gas that she has in like a perfume bottle, and he falls exactly like how I imagine Michael Jackson would. So now everyone's really mad at the villain kids and mad at Ben for letting them come to Auradon, and then he poses really angrily at the camera with his uneven sleeves. The next scene is finally the long-awaited coronation scene, and it's being broadcasted to the Isle of the Lost so the parents can see, and Snow White is reporting on it, and for some reason she has the most out-of-pocket insults for a child.
Oh, fairy godmother is looking radiant, but what is happening with Jane's hair?
Like, what is her beef with this 16-year-old girl? It's so mean for no reason. On the way to the castle, Ben reveals that he knew that she had used a love potion on him and it had actually worn off a while ago, so he actually just does have feelings for her, which is a really cute moment, but it leads to Mal kind of second-guessing herself whether or not she actually wants to go through with the plan or not. As Ben is being coronated, someone comes up and snags the wand out of the fairy godmother's hand, but no, it's not Mal, it's actually Jane. That comment that Snow White made about her hair was probably the last straw, and she was like, I don't want to be ugly anymore. Mal runs up and takes the wand away from Jane, and Ben is trying to like plead with her, and she comes to the conclusion, she's like, I actually love being here, I don't want to be evil, and the real magic wand was the friends we made along the way. However, while Jane was like flicking around the wand, kind of struggling with it, it accidentally broke the barrier at the Isle of the Lost, so Maleficent storms the castle in a giant evil fart cloud. Maleficent freezes everyone in place. Oh, no, sorry. She must have cast a spell where everyone tries really hard to freeze in place, but you can still see them moving. The four of them try to get her to stop, saying that they're actually happy here, they don't want to be evil, but she says no, I don't care, and she goes dragon mode. She chases them around for a while, and they fight, and they finally defeat her with the power of friendship, and they turn her into a lizard. Fairy Godmother unfreezes everyone, and Ben goes beast mode until he realizes there's nothing to worry about and everything's fine. Now that everything is all in well, this is a decom, so of course they end it with a giant dance scene at the end, but not before just subtly hinting at a sequel. I don't know if you caught it, but take a look at this.
Oh, I was having so much fun, I almost forgot. You didn't think this was the end of the story, did you?
To the untrained eye, that might have just seemed like a little cute little throwaway line, but between you and me, I think they're telling us that there's going to be another movie. Don't tell anyone. And that's the movie. As much as I poked fun at it, I know that if this came out like 3 years earlier, I would have been absolutely obsessed with it, and I would have been like begging my mom to dye my hair purple so I could look like Mal. The music in this movie is surprisingly really good. It's super catchy, and a lot of the acting was really great. Like, Duff Cameron kills it as Mal. I found myself getting really like emotional like during sad scenes, and I was like, what the hell? This is a decom. I'm not supposed to be crying right now. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to catch any future videos. There might be a sequel just between you and me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!